Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Grace Talks time. It's Sunday morning. We call these mornings here at the Theatre of Grace Start Over Sundays. We call them Start Over Sundays, so that it doesn't matter what your week was. It doesn't matter how your week ended. If it ended beautifully, then we have another opportunity to have yet another beautiful week. If you were not too happy with your week, my friend, it's a new week now. It's a new week now. So we have an opportunity to start anew, to start over. I'm very excited about today's Grace Talks, but I will tell you more about it just now. But we are here and I'm so grateful and I trust that you can hear me. Tradition, tradition, tradition. Like any other home, here we also have our own tradition at the Theatre of Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, all right? I never want to make this assumption. I do, but I shouldn't. We greet, all right? So when you come in, you greet. Let me tell you who took the very first spot today. Ngwenya is taking the front row seat. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Ayanda. We have Anati joining us from Kimberley. Kimberley is about to get hot next weekend. Kimberley is about to get hot, but let me not say more about that. All right, Lungas joining us from Ezwezwe. More of the Sakai. I'm all of that with Molwende tonight. Linus is joining us from Cape Town. Good morning. Kiana joining us all the way from Kiana. Where are you? Maun, right? Kiana is in Botswana. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Dobek is in the house. Rhoderport. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So we are joining us from Kempton Park. That is Phindile joining us from Kempton Park. Somebody in the group. Good morning. All right. Botswana is in the house. All right. Let's see. I want to do the right thing today. All right. Dweza Big Sis joining us also from King. We have Uzux joining us from Queenstown. Queenstown is in the house. East London is in the house. My friend is there. DK joining us from Botswana somewhere. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Let me see who else is here. Grebecha is in the house. All right. And they start joining us from Grebecha. Meza. Good morning, Mez. Good morning. Good morning, Mez. I'm not sure where you're joining us from. Pizozo joining us from Maun. Oh, wow. This is beautiful. Mizana is also here from Grebecha. Maureen joining us from Botswana. Good morning, Gemza from Elusikisiki. All right, morning, Cape Town. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. This is Theatre of Grace International. It's always good for us to welcome everybody. I'm getting so excited about welcoming people from different people. All right, and of course, we have got Zimbabwe, our friends, our sisters from Kwamzilikazi. Here we are. All right, somebody joining us from the UK. Good morning, Sme, I hope. Good morning. All right, East London is in the house. Mons is joining us from East London. So that's the first thing that we do, right? Come in, you tell us where you're joining us from. The second, of course, is that, which Kiana has done, all right? You tag somebody, all right? Tell them, we are here, ladies. We are here, guys. We are gathered here for our weekly injection of inspiration, our weekly injection of grace and empowerment. Because you know what we are at the Theatre of Grace? The Theatre of Grace. My husband summarized it to me the other day, because sometimes as you do something, you need somebody to just sit you down and say, the Theatre of Grace is a faith-based platform for the empowerment of women, powered, of course, by the grace of God. All right. Somebody joining us from Hesekwa. Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Jeffrey's Bay is in the house. Kadok is in the house. Morning, Mama. Yes, thank you, Smith. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Let's start because I don't want to waste too much time. Let us start. Okay, ladies, when I'm welcoming people from different places, my mind, I'm just already going to October. But I'm not gonna say much about October right now because we had to get to a decision-making stage. All I can tell you is the following, because we did close on the 4th, or we said we are closing on the 4th, and because when we got our numbers, the venue was 300. And the hotel was 290. So that was the size of our venue. All right. And we are there. However, when we went there last week, the lioness and myself, oh, what a time we had there last week, but what a time we are going to have there in a few months' time. We found that there's a bigger venue. So we are now looking at having ourselves going to the bigger venue, which means more space, which means more space. But we'll give you more details about that as we go on. So those of us who were wanting to come, we're getting a little bit discouraged because they couldn't come. No worries, my friend. We have found a bigger room, but we want to set up our structure so that we know exactly how that's going to work. Okay, this morning we have somebody who is a member of the Theatre of Grace. I think let me put her in. Let me bring her on so that as I talk about her, she's also on the screen, because it's never nice to talk in the absence of your guest. So this morning, our guest for this morning. Let me get this right. Our guest for this morning. There she is. We have Phindile. Ngwenya, energy. This
energy.
Morning, Phindi. How are you, Sissy?
I'm good, and how are you, Sis Beauty? Morning, ladies. Morning, everybody.
Great stuff. I'm very good, and I'm energized by your energy. Ladies, please let's give Phindile some love. Those of us who are in the not Facebook. What is it? WhatsApp group. Those who are in the WhatsApp group, all right. We know Phindile is. We've got many platforms where we are interacting as the Theatre of Grace. So in the WhatsApp group, we've got about close to 500 women there. On a daily basis, we do everything to empower each other. We've got morning devotions, we've got prayers at certain times. So Phindi is part of that group as well. And she's here today. You might have picked up the topic for today. And I thought to myself, you know what? We, as most of us here, we spend about 8 or more hours in either the workplace or the place of business. All right. There are those of us who have our own businesses, who are self-employed, or you have your own business, which means you, on a daily basis, you are in the marketplace. All right. There are, of course, those of us who are in the workplace. You are employed by somebody. You are there as an employee, whether you are a manager, whatever the rank is, but there you are there as an employee. And even in that place of employment, some of us are managers. We have an opportunity to steward over other people. Of course, if you are a business, there will be people that you are interacting with. But whether you are employed or whether you are an employer, whether in your place of work you have people that are working under you or you are working under other people, because remember our mission as the Theatre of Grace, we want to live our best lives. All right, we as daughters of God, powered by His grace, wherever we set foot, whatever aspect of our lives we set foot on, we want to bring our best selves into that area. And so you would have noticed that over the past 6 months, we've been looking a lot into relationships, how we relate to different people in different places, in our homes, in our wherever. So today, I've asked Phindile to come and speak to us about relationships in the workplace, all right? Relationships in the marketplace, relationships that are basically professional relationships. I think that's the best word. The professional relationships. Now, why is that important for us? Because we have this title, if it's a title, or we have this Jesus that we've called ourselves by. All right. So while other people may relate however they please, but if we are the ones by which we call ourselves, daughters of God, Christians, and whatever it is that we call ourselves, is that perhaps a way that we ought to remember to relate by when it comes to other people? So today we are looking at relationships in the marketplace. What I love about Phindile is that she's passionate about this, but she's also practicing in this space. I've said a lot now already in trying to introduce our topic. Now, let me then, before I let you go, Phindi, let me first let you introduce yourself a little bit to us as the audience, and then I will let you continue.
Okay, ladies, my name, as Sis Beauty has alluded, it's Phindile Ngwenya. Professionally, I'm a senior admin officer at Gauteng Provincial Treasury, working as a senior admin officer in a human resource management space. When I grew up, I wanted to be a social worker, but maths showed me flames, so I decided, I'm not gonna do this. So I had another passion to be a pastor, but obviously I was advised against it as a church that we would not be able to ordain women back then. But now I see things are changing. So I ended up in human resource management. One might say I'm not far from where I wanted to be. I'm a second daughter of the late Mr. and Mrs. Ngwenya. My passion is people, as you can see. I love working with people. I love children. I can say I'm a qualified master guide. I love working with kids. Obviously, that leads to human resource as well. And I love singing. I love speaking. I sing for the Real Ones Choir. Those in the group might have seen I've posted a video of us singing. Yeah, and I also sing for the GPG choir, that is the Gauteng Provincial Choir. And Phindile, who is Phindile? Phindile is a young woman singer, gifted in many ways than others.
The gents and those of us who have singers.
Hello.
I love it. Single and gifted.
And okay, I hold a BCom degree that took me 11 years to complete, but usually at work, I would say people must benchmark with me, don't do what I did. It took me 11 years to complete it, but eventually I did complete. So with many ladies who are studying, it's never too late, and it doesn't matter how many years you take. The important thing is that you finish.
And they don't put that 11 years. And they don't put that 11 years on the certificate, my friend. BCom degree.
No, they say Phindile, and when they call you to the stage, they don't say she took 11 years. You walk like you did in 4 years.
It is finished.
It is finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, my hobbies, I'm a hiker, I'm a drummer, I play drums. Yes, and yeah, I like to see people happy. Though sometimes people take advantage of that, but yes, that's me.
That's life. Yeah,
yes.
That's life. All right. Thank you so much, because it's always nice for us to get to know you a little bit when you come onto the platform for the first time. Like I said, I'm going to give you a few minutes to just be on your own, all right? And just share with us. Because those of us who are in the group will remember you did a whole week for us of morning devotions on you are indeed human resource. You are a human capital passion person, because every single day I read there, I felt like, you know what, we could be sitting and having a workshop on this, but the context that you were using was so beautiful because it was based on scripture. All right. And so today we get to spend a little bit more time delving deep on some of the topics that you shared with us. Okay, so I'm just going to keep quiet and I will let you just run and present to us. And ladies, as you know by now, that if somebody says something that resonates with you, it's also a way to let Phindile know that she's not alone here. I'm also here, but I'm going to be off screen when she's doing this first part of the presentation. So two things. One, if something that she says resonates with you, you hit the like, you hit the love, but you can also put it in the chats wherever it is that you're joining us from. That way you highlight it to other people as well. And if you have a question, all right, don't wait until the end, because sometimes we get to the end and we have questions and we don't attend all the questions. All right, but we do our best to attend the questions, especially when they come on time. All right, so please just take note of that. Thank you very much. Phindile, over to you, Sisi.
Okay, ladies. Like Sis Beauty has said, I would like us to take our Bibles and open Genesis 1. We're not going to read the whole chapter, but I'll just summarize. It's the book on creation, where God was creating the heavens and the earth. With being professional, I've seen God giving us work ethics here. God has planned his work, has made sure that he fills the earth before the occupants arrive. That means God had planned his things. So usually as people, what we normally do in being professional, it's planning. Some people say when you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So it is, for me, Genesis 1, professionally, that's where I see profession at its best. because it comes from the maker, from our creator himself. So that means we have a good example from God himself. God created heaven in 6 days. There's a lot that we do in 6 days. So being professional means within the time that you are given, within a day, it is how you utilize it, how you use it, how you impact those around you around that time. So when God was creating, he also made sure that he shows us the professionalism at its best. Today, Sis Beauty summarized our topic as workplace and marketplace relationships. Relationships are a dynamic on their own. You can remember every time you enter or you go out of a relationship, it's either you grow or there's something taken out of you. So each and every relationship has its own impact, has its own challenges, has its own dynamics. So being professional, it means that whatever you do, number one, you take note of the next person, because whatever you do impacts on the next person. What I want us to look at, I will not go into the devotions because many of us have already seen the devotion, but today I want us to look into the workplace, the marketplace, and those who are going to enter either the workplace or the marketplace, both the platforms. So all of us, as we listen today, I want us to listen, or some will be listening as employees, some will be listening as employers, some will be listening as someone who wants to enter both the platforms. So as I was preparing for this, there's a video that happened sometime during the week, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, about Musa. Musa is a young man from South Africa. He entered a Britain talent. When I saw that video, just to give a brief background on that, Musa is from South Africa, and then him and his family moved to England. When they moved to England, that's when he got the opportunity to enter the Britain's Got Talent. When he got them, or before he got them, when he was in South Africa, nobody knew who Musa was. Nobody knew the talent that Musa had. Nobody ever heard of Musa, for that matter. So when Musa was in South Africa, there was no impact. As Mazanga Musa, we did not hear about him, nothing about Musa, until he got to the stage Sase Britain. When he got to Britain, that's where he introduced himself as Musa, coming from South Africa. So when he danced the dance that he was dancing, if you get a chance, you can Google it and watch it, but have a packet of tissues because you are gonna share a tear. So when Musa was done dancing, in that show, they give golden tickets. But because they've already used up their golden tickets as individual judges, they gave him a group golden ticket. I would say golden ticket as in our idols, like South Africa. So they gave him a group golden ticket. That was the first thing they've ever done to anyone. So with the story of Musa, what I've learned is that sometimes we are in the wrong platforms. Sometimes we find ourselves in, not wrong, but in different places that we are not noticeable. We are unable to even show our potential. So with Musa's story, we get that before he moved to England, we didn't know him. But as soon as he got to England, that's where we got to learn about Musa. So sometimes God has to take us away from our comfort zones so that he places us in asibeke endaweni la sizokwazi to shine, where people will notice us, where we'll be out of our comfort zone and be able to show the world what we have and what God has given us, to reach out to our full potential, to give out what God has impacted in us. Usually when we are born as people, We are born with our hands closed. That means uNkulunkulu has put something in our hands. While I was doing the devotion, I once had a topic that said, what do you have in your hands? Because whatever that you're gonna be doing, God has given you something to impact the world. God has given you something to share with the world. It might be a voice, it might be something you do. One of the problems that we do as people is that we want to copy what other people are doing. Like in a business, if someone is selling apples and we see that the apples are going, we all want to sell apples. But we don't look at, who am I? Do I have the passion to sell apples? Do I like the apples that I'm selling, number one? So as Musa was in South Africa, he did not know that the talent that he has will impact the world. When he was done with whatever presentation he was doing, people were in tears. Some of us, we are sitting in offices where we are not supposed to be for a long time. Yes, you can be in an office 2-3 years, and then you out, you go and start what God has inputted in your hands. Some of us, we grow up, we don't open our hands. We don't want to let God take out whatever that he has given us so that we share it with the world. So whenever you enter the workplace, you enter it with your hands, with whatever that God has given you. And you establish it through learning, obviously. You establish it through your interest. And number two that I want us to look at, there was a devotion that was done this week, and it says, be yourself and the world would adjust. That it really challenged me. Usually what we do as people, we want to adapt to the world, but we forget ourselves. And in that process, we lose ourselves. In that process, we forget our potential. We forget where God has taken us and put us, and we forget ukuthi in everything and in every relationship that we come into, we take priority. We sometimes let people walk over us. For example, when you come into a workplace as an employee, yes, you are supposed to be humble, you are supposed to listen to rules. But at some point, you find yourself being challenged to do something that you see yourself, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Abanye will say, it's not in my job description, those who are assertive enough. But some of us who are shy, we end up doing things that we are not supposed to do. So in creating and maintaining a professional relationship, number one, you need to know who you are. You need to understand what is it that you are capable of. You need to understand what brings you peace as an individual. You need to ensure that before you go into a relationship with anyone, you are in good relationship with yourself. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You cannot give someone love that you don't have. Hence, many of us who are struggling with depression or with low self-esteem, the first thing they ask us is, how do you feel about yourself? So that means the self must first be fulfilled, must first be happy, must first be at peace before you allow other people to come into your space. So you need to understand, Phindile, who is Phindile? What makes Phindile tick? What makes Phindile to be who she is? And what makes her angry? Most of us at a workplace, we don't want to show our real self. We end up pretending to be who we are not. And that is us robbing our colleagues or the people we are with of our true selves. And at the end of the day is that you end up robbing yourself of being yourself, trying to be someone else. So with a professional relationship, my mother used to say, when you get to the workplace, you are not there to make friends. But you cannot go to a workplace and not expect to make friends. Some people have that in them, but some of us, we don't. it is good to have friends, but don't have like bosom friends at work, because the relationship that you are there for, it's professional. So keep it as professional as possible. But it doesn't mean that when one of your colleagues maybe has a bereavement, is having a lunch, is having something you cannot visit, but you need to be able to separate that this is a work friend, and you also have church friends, you also have amangane kaya, you also have different relationships. So before you allow everybody else to be in your space, you need to understand yourself. And in understanding yourself is understanding who you are in the eyes of God. Being a young woman, we are always taught that before you allow any guy to tell you they love you, to be in a relationship, they're not there to complete you. So you need to be complete before you get into a relationship. So just like any other relationship, you need to feel at peace. You need to feel safe with yourself. You need to be comfortable in your own company before you allow other people to enter your company. One may ask then, how do you create or how do you maintain professional relationships? One of the most important things about relationship is that they require trust. Trust is very important in a relationship. And usually people say trust is like a glass. Once broken, you can never put it back again. So trust in any relationship is important, and professionally it's very important, because when you trust the people you work with, it is easier for you to give out yourself to doing the task that you are there to do with them. And it opens your mind to say, if I trust this person, I'm able to even leave them with the task that we have been given, so that we finish it together. And also respect. Respect. You respect the cleaner, you respect the security guy, you respect everybody, you respect the people you work with. Some of us, our titles, they go into our heads. I'm a manager. I want people to feel that I'm a manager. And the sad part is that my managership works only for me, and especially when I go to the ATM and withdraw that manager's money. But respect means you respect everybody. Some of us, we work with people who are younger than us and who are more educated than us. And we also need to remember that with the people we work with, some people may have another way of doing things. So your way is not always the only way of doing things. So you respect people's opinions, you respect people's beliefs, you respect people as people. It does not have to be attached to a title, because a title only works for you, the title holder. And also in a meeting, when we address you, let's say I'm a manager, then you address me as a manager. But other than that, respect means that I respect you, you respect me. It's a two-way stream. So there's no way you can have a relationship and not have respect. And then another one is self-awareness. I think I've already spoken to self-awareness. Self-awareness is when you are aware of the impact of your behavior on other people, of your opinion on other people, of your way of doing things on other people. So when you are self-aware, you are able to also be aware of the people around you. You are also aware of their opinions. You are also aware of how you behave around people, because your behavior impacts on your work and the people that you work with. Also, inclusion. By inclusion, we mean you demonstrate respect for different insight and perspective when making decisions and when finding solutions. Inclusion means when in a workplace you have a problem, not only you have a solution, you allow other people to bring their own opinions. You allow people also to assist you in coming up with a solution. Sometimes it's okay to say, guys, I don't know what to do in this instance. As employees, okay, I'll start as employees. As employees, we find it difficult to say to people, this I don't know. And people respect you if you say, I don't know, I will find out. It's like when you're dealing with a child, you will not know everything. So when you say to a child, maybe they ask you something and you don't know about it, don't try to find an answer. Sometimes it's good and say, okay, you know what, this one I don't know. Give me an opportunity to go and find out. Give me an opportunity to go and learn about it, and then I'll come back to you. So it's like that even in the workplace. When you don't know, it's good. It's okay to say, I don't know, and allow someone else who knows to educate you or to share their knowledge with you. And then open communication. Open communication is it's a crux of any relationship. Any relationship needs communication. And communication, those of us who have done communication in school or anywhere else, you know that when you communicate, you send out a message, you wait for a response, you wait for feedback. So when you have open communication, you allow people to give criticism when necessary, to give feedback when necessary, to give applause, to even applaud you when necessary. So with open communication, when you communicate clearly. When you don't like something, you just say, this I don't like. Can you not do this to me? Or can you not talk to me like this? Or can you do this the other way or not the other way? Communication helps us understand each other, and it helps us to reach our goal. Remember, in relationship, it's not about the one person. It's about everyone else who's involved. And it also allows us to know where we are going as a team or as an individual. And if you deal with other people, it is fair that you communicate clearly, openly, and you make sure that people understand your point of view, and you don't force it to them. You just make sure that they understand. And then coming back to an employer, many of us ladies have now moved from being employees to being employers, of which I find it extremely exciting, because when we were growing up, we were bought toys as girls. You get a kitchen set, you get a doll, and whenever you do something wrong, they'll compare you to somebody else. Uzawushada kanjani uvilapha kanje, uyambona umntwana kazibani bani uwenzani. Everything that we do as young women or as young kids, young girls, was referred to marriage. Everything that you do, it's either you must study hard so that you get a job, and then you get hired, and then you get money, you buy a house, you get married, you get kids, and you die. That was our stream of life. But I'm happy that things are changing. God wants us as young women also to change the status quo and say, yes, we are young women. We are able to also penetrate the male-dominated areas. I was fascinated the other day by seeing a truck driver of a woman. The way she was driving that truck, you would swear it was a man. When I followed this woman from behind, I was like, this truck driver, you know truck drivers, how they drive. And when I saw that it was a woman, I was like, okay, I don't condone the driving, the way of driving, but I like it that it's a woman. Because usually we would not be encouraged as young women to go be a bus driver or to be a pilot. Imisebenzi yethu, we're like, you work in the kitchen, you go find work in somebody else's home, you wash for them, you iron for them, you do ordinary work, you'll be a teacher. Not that I'm saying teachers are not, it's not a good profession, but our way of thinking, we were taught only a few, you'll be a nurse, you'll be a teacher, you'll be a secretary. Even when you were looking for job opportunities, you will not look into artisan. It is only now of late that we have female artisan, and I like it because now we are moving from the norm that the society has always had. So as an employer, it is also important also to remember all these facts that I've raised. you need to trust your people, because you cannot achieve what you want to achieve as a business person alone. If you've got employees, you need to trust them that they will also see the vision that you have. You need to respect them as your employees. You need to also teach them to be self-aware of themselves, and you need to also be self-aware of that you are dealing with people who have mind, who are able to think, differently than you. Yes, you bring your own vision, your own mission, and your own end goal, but they can help you reach that sooner, because they can have ways that how do you achieve those goals. And you also need to include them. You need to also allow them to communicate openly when there's things that they don't like. And creating a professional relationship, it also assists you as a person to understand ukuthi in whatever you do, it's not always about you. And it also, I'm also reminded of the story of the people when they were building the tower. I've also mentioned that in the devotion, oneness, the power of oneness. Whenever we start a relationship or we create a professional relationship, it is of good, it is good that we should understand which we need to be one in vision, one in purpose, so that whatever we are inputting in this relationship, we achieve our goal. And we need to be able to say, what is it that we want from this relationship? Another thing that we are not taught as young women is to be upfront. What do you want to achieve with this relationship? Professionally, personally, and otherwise. Because at the end of the day, you find yourself pleasing the other person because that's how they want to run the relationship, or that's what they want to take the relationship. But we are all responsible for where this relationship is going. So as professional, we also need to understand when we come into a relationship, we must have one goal to achieve. And how do we achieve that goal? That means we must have oneness. I remember when God said to himself, the Godhead, let us make man in our own image. They sat down. They had a plan. What must we do? We must make man. And how should the man look like? He must be in our own image. And what must the man do? He must rule over the world, the sea, and everything else that we've created. So whenever you get into a relationship, terms and conditions must be cleared out. You need to understand what is it that I'm getting myself into. It is only now that we learn that you need to be clear. Otherwise, when you go into a workplace, you take the employer's vision and you move with it. But it's not beneficial for any one of us, because at the end of the day, we end up pursuing one person's goal. Because when you get into a professional relationship, the employer, yes, must make profit, but also I must also grow in my career. I must also put food in the table for my kids, and I must also bring that family relations in the workplace, because whenever something happens at home, it affects how I interact with other people at work. When I was doing the devotions, I mentioned the story of the women where she met the prophet, and the prophet said to her, what do you have in your home? So what you have in your hands, what you have in your home, it goes hand in hand. You cannot give to people what you don't have. The prophet said to the woman, you've got oil. The woman said, I only got oil. Ne? And then the prophet said, go out and look for pots, you and your sons. So usually when we get into our offices or when we get into professional relationships, there's no way you can leave your family behind, because they impact everything that you do. Yes, you might spend more time in the office, but at the end of the day, you also come back home. As a mother, as a young woman, as as a father, as a family person, as one of the family members, whatever that has affected you in the office, you bring it home. Whatever has affected you at home, you bring it to work. So this relationship must always tie together, must always be together. You must always make sure that they find a balance somewhere. Because if I'm affected at home, let's say I'm preparing to go to work, and then I get into a fight with my mother or my sister. By the time I get to the office, already my adrenaline is running. I'm already in another level. But whenever I am able to say, when I get to work, now I'm entering a professional place. Yes, I might have had whatever I've had, but if I meet someone who is also having an adrenaline rush, so the two adrenaline rush comes together, and nobody wants to bow to be humble to the other person, because mina ngilwe na whoever engilwe na on my way to work, and this person also has fought with whoever, and we both want to push our relationship or our missions for the day. That means we will not work together for that day. So we need to ensure that by the time you get to the office, yes, you talk to yourself, Phindile, it's fine, you have fought with whoever, but now you're getting into the office, you need to separate the issues. And that's what also brings the conflicts in the office, because when you don't communicate clearly, but you can also come into the office and say, hey guys, I fought with my mother, so don't come near me. Today, I'm a ticking bomb. No, you need to calm yourself down, self-awareness. You need to be aware of your emotions. You need to be in control of your emotions, because that also helps you as a person to say, today I'm not in a good space. So this is how I will attend the day with other colleagues or with other people that I'm going to meet, because you don't want them to end up being part of what you went through ending, or when on your way to work or on your way home, vice versa. You can't take your office problems to home, because when you get to home, there's also dynamics of home again, and you need to be flexible. Flexibility goes with every relationship. Being flexible means that whenever there are differences, wherever, you are able to say, okay, I'm Phindile, this is my way of doing things. But because now I'm dealing with Nomsa and I'm dealing with Temi, Temi has her way of doing things. Let me allow her to express whatever they want to express. And allow people to criticize you, whether as a manager, whether as an employee. Because criticism, okay, there's good and there's bad criticism. It also depends how you take it. Because as people, we find ourselves most of the time wanting to please other people. And in us wanting to please other people, you don't respond feedback positively. Sometimes, yes, you might have made a mistake. Allow people to show you, Phindile, this is where you have gone wrong. This is what you're supposed to do. And this is how you can move from this to that, and make sure that all the relationships that you have, or all the work that you need to do, it's done accordingly. And allow people to say, yes, you have done it this way, but you could have done it this other way. Allow people to give you criticism, bathini, positive criticism. Ne? Some of us as women, we are our own enemies, because we always have our soldiers on guard. Our soldiers are always ready to defend. We are running on defense mode. Whatever a person says, we want to defend. Phindile, your foot is under my foot, but your foot was under my foot before my foot. You know, you are always a ticking bomb. So with every relationship, sometimes you need to sit back and say, what is this person exactly saying to me? Analyze it, internalize it, and then move with it and say, okay, this is what I've done, and this is the feedback I'm getting. Then that means there's another way of doing things, and then you are able to move. And then there's something that I want us to also remember. In any relationship that you get into, there will be conflict. So whenever you approach a relationship or a conflict in a relationship, always have a win-win approach. Some of us are good at defending our cases. It's good, well and good. Vele, you must be able to defend your case. But there comes a time where you see that when I'm trying to prove my rightness, it is denting on the relationship that I have. Take a step back. Allow both of you or whoever who's involved in the conflict to take a breather, to rethink it, and to see it another. Because if you attack it now, you might win the conflict or the conversation or the whatever that is going on, but you might lose the person. And at the end of the day, when you've lost that person, it is difficult to rebuild a relationship that has been broken. Sometimes it's good to say, you know what, imimoya yethu is up. We are fuming. Let's take a the issue, or get another person to come and intervene in your conflict. Because when we are both on our high horses or on our defending mode, we don't see what the other person is trying to say. And sometimes it's also in the tone, it's also in the manner. You might be saying the right thing in a wrong tone. You might be saying the right thing that is the only solution. But because of how you are saying it, and because of the mood within the room, we will not reach our win and win situation. But if we get another person in, it helps us to calm down and see things in a different way. And another thing that we need to remember with relationships, it's not about you always. I think I'm saying this I'm repeating it now. Gunama relationship where you get into, you feel overwhelmed, you feel burdened, you even feel abused because the person is trying so hard to make sure that their way becomes the only way. And there is no way you can have that. In a relationship, it's two people or more, and it's people who are always having different manner of approach, different ways of doing things. And then lastly, what I want to say to those who are considering either being an employee or being an employer, it is always good to understand who are you and whose you are. Remember, you are a child of God. So whenever you get into either the workplace or the marketplace, yourself and your identity always plays a role, because people will always judge you with how they see you, how they view you, and how you treat other people. And in order for you to have an impact, you need to understand, Gucci, you are a child of God at the end of the day. Whatever you do and wherever you are, God is always in control. God is always part of that. Many of us, when we start our day, yes, we start our day with prayer, devotion, and whatnot. But it happens that by the time you 10, you are on another mood. So it helps that you remember that if I'm a child of God, there are certain things that I will not approach in an ordinary manner, but only as how the child of God will approach, and that will be an impact to the people that who are around you and the people that you are working with. So in every relationship that we get into, we should not leave God behind. He's always last, he's always around. There's a song that says above, underneath, and around us. So whatever we do and whatever a relationship that we get into, God, 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 and more God.
I love it. I love it. I love it. He's always first. He's always last.
Always last.
And he's always around.
Yes.
Oh, Basiam. I love it. Yo, Jonga, when I am sitting here, I'm making notes at the front, at the back, because you have said so much. You know,
Thank you.
and one of the things I'm realizing how deep the topic is. It really is deep. And what makes it deep is because there are so many elements to it. We come in, there's a
Yes.
question I want you to try. You I think you've covered it a little bit, but I think it was Sandile who is asking. I'm putting the question and then I'm going to make my comment while you're thinking a little bit more about the question. But it's a very common question of how do we deal with subordinates? So, as a supervisor, you've got subordinates who simply undermine you as a supervisor. Some of us get promotions. I was going to profile a certain a sector, but there are certain sectors that if you get promoted, but it applies everywhere. You get a promotion. There were a few of you, and then you get promoted. All right, you were peers at some point. Me and Jimmy and John and Lungiswa and Phindile and Zoleka, we were all in this level. And then there's one promotion post that's available, and now get to go and become their supervisor. Yesterday we were all in this level. Now I am supervisor to them, and they are subordinate. Sometimes, depending on the kind of people you're dealing with, you tend to have a situation where they simply disrespect you. So suddenly is asking that question of how do you deal with that. So while you are mulling over that, I just wanted to make a few comments. But something that's so many things you said, but one that I thought resonated with me, and when you hear something you're like, how I wish I could go back to 1999 when I started working, and somebody can tell me this, and that is this: bring your self-awareness thing that you spoke about, that bring your authentic self to the
Yes.
workplace, to the business from the get-go. Because some
Yes.
of us we come in and we want to be something else because and it's really, really tempting, especially when you're young. When we are older, as we have learned the lessons of life, we now know not to do that, because you're going to bring this different person and you're going to struggle to maintain this person. But when you were young, I mean, even I would have avoided so many problems in my early professional life had I
Yes.
known to come in as beauty, as me, and to be okay. You also say there, when I don't know, I don't know. I'm gonna go and find out. I'm gonna try and figure it out, but I don't know right now. I would have
Yes.
avoided so many stress for myself.
Okay. I'll start with the question of the
Yes.
subordinates.
Hmm.
Um, luckily, I've witnessed that where we were in the same. Okay, with me it was different because they found me
Hmm.
in a higher position,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then they wanted to align themselves with me,
Hmm.
and unfortunately they could not.
Hmm.
When we are in the same position and one gets a promotion,
Hmm.
self-awareness again. You
Hmm.
need to know that yes, we were in the same level, but now I'm moving into a managerial position. You
Hmm.
still keep the respect. You
Hmm.
still keep being yourself, being
Hmm.
authentic, communicating like freely, openly, and also include them. Tell them that, okay, guys, it's only a position, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we all have the same goal to achieve. It's just that
Hmm.
I must see that we all achieve it at the right time and according to how we are supposed to achieve it, based on whatever we are given to achieve.
Hmm.
So it is also important that you also bring yourself down, because what becomes a problem is that whenever now that I am a boss,
Hmm. Hmm.
people
Hmm.
must feel it that now Phindile
Yeah.
is the boss.
Hmm.
Now Phindile is a supervisor. So I will even remind you guys with Ningakhohlwa phela, I'm your
Hmm.
boss. You guys
Hmm.
report to me. You still need to keep the humbleness. You still
Hmm.
need to keep people in line, to tell them that, guys, yes, I'm higher, and according to every organizational structure, when you
Hmm.
are higher, you earn higher, your responsibilities are higher, but I'm still part of the team.
Hmm.
Be part of the team. Don't be a standalone within the team.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yes, Sis Pretty, there's a lot of things we could have avoided if we have known these things
Hmm.
earlier. even in our own personal relationships. Some of us would have avoided many heartaches, but because we did not know these things. And I'm glad I grew up in an Adventist church. We were taught these things at AA. But because we live among other people, we also as young women said, no man, I want to prove this for myself. I want to see if what they are saying is true. Hence, we find ourselves in all these commotions that we could have avoided. So in a workplace, it is very important to always be part of the team. That's the only way you can win them. Let them know that, guys, I may be a supervisor, I may be your manager, but at the end of the day, I need to report, I need to take accountability of the work that we do as a team, but I'm still part of the team. The accountability part I cannot share with you because when things go wrong, I need to account as senior. So if I have to account, I also need you guys to account as my subordinate. And it's always easier to be part of the team when you don't become a dictator, a dictator. You become part of the team. When we do EBST in the master guide, we say be an involved leader, not a leader who always points out that must be done, but you're far away.
Need my example.
Done, you are there with them. You're doing it, you're showing them, you become a mentor or a coach to them and say, some things, this is how we do it. You show them, this is what I expect. Your expectation must be clear. This is what I expect. If you're having troubles, I'm here to assist. Have an open door relationship. Always, always, always. Some of us are working in open area offices, but your door, you make a door, an imaginary door. Guys, my desk does not have a door for a purpose. That means anytime you want to come and ask something, come and ask. And you also get yourself involved with them. Some of them are going through personal stuff. Take interest. Some of them are going through a lot. Take interest. Don't only concentrate on the work. Also personally. Go to them, ask them, guys, are you good? Take them to lunch if you can, or arrange a lunch as a team where we are more relaxed, not at work, doing work. No, sometimes you need to be at a casual place where people are able to tell you, you know what, Phindile, this is how we can do things, this is how we can improve, this is how we can do, and this is how I feel when you do this. This is have also a one-on-one sessions with them so that you understand each and everyone. Remember, when we are still in the same level, we don't care about each other that much. But as soon as you take a higher position, remember now you are looking at them from a different perspective. So change also your perspective of involving them. Take interest in their personal growth and in their personal lives, because that also allows you to know who you are dealing with, like really. So because when we are in one level, sometimes there's even no respect. We are just casual about things. But as soon as you get into a managerial position, then that means you also account for your people's wellness, for your people to be sane in work and to make sure that whatever they are doing, but right. You can even come in the morning and say, guys, knee right, and then whoever is not right, then you also need to also understand the body language versus the verbal communication. So you need to understand the communication dynamics, that it's also both verbal and non-verbal. Someone can say right only to find good to know they're just saying, but they are not right. So you also need to have that eye that sees beyond what people are saying.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, even in that, even just working, dealing with subordinate relationships, there is just so much to deal with there. Then I want us to then go to the second aspect of it. So we were looking at it now from I'm the manager, or I'm the supervisor, or I'm the CEO, and I have people subordinate to me, and in some cases there is not respect. All right.
Yes.
I'm gonna share one or two things there based from experience. But I want you, while I'm sharing that, to think about the following. By this comment, Kanelisa Ukuti, she said she cried a lot yesterday, thinking of things that have been said in her face by her boss. That I'm giving my boss a nappy rash. She says, I pray to God to improve my performance at work and improve my entire team's performance. We will be praying with you, Nelisa. So I want you now to speak to that when Phindile. The other side of the coin. On the one side, we as managers, right? We as managers, we as bosses, we as supervisors, how to deal with those subordinate to us if they don't respect us. But the other side of the coin is so true and it is so common. I don't want to say it's to us women, but it leads to so much where you are the subordinate who have a boss who thinks nothing of you, who speaks as they please, but we are there to earn an income because we have children to feed. We have a boss who disrespects you. We have a boss who doesn't see you. You get passed. I mean, many people been passed for promotions for years. You get passed for promotions. You know that you are capable. Sometimes somebody comes in new to the company and then a couple of months later they get promotion. I mean, those dynamics exist, but how do we carry ourselves as people who are in that space? So I want you to speak to that as we are approaching the end. But I wanted to come back to the one about subordinates. While you are thinking, just my 5 cents on the one about subordinates who sometimes don't respect you. There are so many dynamics to that as well. There's so many aspects to that as well. But one thing I've learned, and I learned this from experience, that somebody will get promoted if there's many of us at the same level. And most structures in most companies are like this. I'm trying to get to right. Most of them are like pyramids. There's more of us at the bottom. But as we climb the corporate ladder, there's fewer and fewer and fewer people that are needed. So it's very unlikely that if there's 20 of us at this level, that all 20 of us are going to be promoted. It's likely that there will be 2 or 3. But what I've learned is that when we were at that same level together, as colleagues and as peers in that particular level, I was misbehaving with my peers at that level. And when I'm saying misbehaving, I'm not talking about little things, we can all be naughty in a place of work. But if we together did the wrong things, did not always do things that are acceptable within the company, but it was our own secret. And now I get promoted. And I am now above the people with whom I did the wrong things. It becomes extremely difficult to manage those people. I'm just saying this now to those of us who are young and are growing in the professional space, as tempting as it can be, my friend. From something as simple as us coming together and scannering and gossiping about the boss. Tomorrow you will be that boss that we will come together and gossip about. And so that's just a small little thing to say that, as you grow in your corporate ladder, make sure that you remain, as you say, bring your authentic self. And you said it to us as you were closing. Remember, I am here as an ambassador of God, and that is irrespective of position. Whether I'm just a normal subordinate, or I'm a manager, or a supervisor, I'm a CEO, I'm a board member. If I am here as an ambassador, as a representative of God, it doesn't matter the position I play. I will come out. I will play as that person. But it's also true, and I've had this experience, and I know people who are currently going through that experience of serious insubordination. People who just will not. You have to get somebody else to get them to do something. And I love all the input that you've said, that you do your best to try and win. You mentioned it, win-win, to go for the win-win option. But sometimes there's this guy who's determined. Sometimes it gets even a little bit on the evil side. They are determined to make your life difficult. You can't go over and become like them, though. What I've learned in those situations when opinion is that time reveals a lot. You do your best to make sure that the relationship works, right? Without changing yourself and becoming something completely different. And if, in spite of everything that you've done, and you, of course, you make use of the structures within the workplaces, I'm sure you would know. In church, we've got Matthew 18. There's also similar things within the workplace. You make use of the structure to make sure that this relationship gets fixed. But sometimes, even with all of that, it doesn't happen. What I've learned, time. But stay on your grounding. Stay who you are. Don't change and show them. Yeah. Sometimes you get tempted to show them, I'm the boss. Stay, my friend, and pursue excellence where you are and pursue kindness. Sometimes you have to just, you know, you want to, because we are human, you want to tell them off, like
Exactly.
in my language, you say we are the but you're like, I can't say that I'm the boss. But time, I've learned that time reveals who is who in those situations. But this is such a broad topic. We're not gonna finish everything. But
Yeah.
speak to us now on the receiving end of this. I'm the subordinate, you are my boss, and you are just unkind, as it often happens, as that comment was.
Yeah, it's very sad how our bosses sometimes turn out to be
Mm,
on
mm,
us. And you'll cry rivers. You
mm,
know, uzokhala ukhala uzuphelelwe zinyembezi
mm,
because
mm,
of what your bosses are saying to you.
mm.
Unfortunately, I don't have an answer on that
Yeah,
one because at that point, a lot is going on in your mind. You're asking
mm,
yourself, how can this person say this to me? Because I've put in everything I've got to
mm,
this project. Let's say it's a project
mm.
that they are
Yeah.
babakuthethisela yona.
Mm,
And yes, they are a boss, but there's a way of dealing with things and dealing with people. There's no way, there's nothing that I can do that can justify for you to say to me, you are useless.
yeah,
That
yeah,
can say there's nothing you can do, there's nothing better you can do. There's nothing that can justify that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just that you need to understand, Guti, as you are dealing with people, you need to understand who you are
yeah.
and stay true to who you are. And
Mm,
don't allow, unfortunately, I'm gonna say don't allow them to get to you, but it
mm,
gets,
yeah,
unfortunately, it gets to you because at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what more does this person want from me? Because I've given
mm,
it all.
yeah,
And after
yeah,
giving it all, they are still unappreciative. They
mm,
are still not seeing the good that I'm doing. And it
mm,
affects the whole team. And when
yeah,
the whole team is affected, that means our performance will also suffer. That's
mm,
where you get people just, some will just go slow, some will
yeah,
just say, okay, let's leave it, let him do it
yeah,
himself. And
mm,
that gets insubordination.
mm,
Because if I do it and you don't approve of it or you don't like it, and there's nothing more I can do about it, then might
mm,
as well do it yourself.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So, what I can say to us who are managers,
mm,
remember, we are not dealing with walls.
yeah,
We are dealing with people who've got feelings. If you
mm,
don't want something to be done to you, don't do it to the next person.
hey, yeah,
If you don't want people to disrespect you, don't disrespect the next person. I
mm,
will make an example. When you get to many companies, you find a security guard outside. If you
yeah,
don't respect that security guard, little do you know that your safety depends on that person.
yeah,
If that person can say, okay, now that you're disrespecting me, I'm packing and going, you are all
yeah,
in danger. Someone can just come in and shoot all of you. But little you don't see the impact that you're doing by
mm,
disrespecting that person, because yes, you are in a higher position. Like I've said, your position only works for you. We are
mm,
here, we all need one another. It's a food chain. If I'm
yeah,
not here as a cleaner, then your office is not clean, then you are not productive. If I'm not here as a security, your
mm,
safety is affected, you are not able to work effectively. So we need to understand that we need one another, not
mm,
only in homes, not only in church, but also in the office. You
yeah,
cannot achieve a goal alone as a manager. And
yeah,
it's just sad what managers do to people, because
yeah,
they degrade people, they disrespect people. You end up questioning, but I thought I know this. I know it, but now what went wrong?
mm,
The only thing they could have done is just sit you down and say, Pindi, oh, 1 or 2 or 3, you
mm,
did the ganje, but I would have preferred them that you have done it this way.
mm,
If
yeah,
I've got another view, allow me to express my view so that
mm,
we reach that's the common goal. But it's unfortunate that at the end of the day, we find ourselves disrespecting one another,
mm,
finding ourselves even calling each other names. That
yeah,
is so unnecessary.
mm,
That is
yeah,
unnecessary. Some of us have a very low self-esteem. One word that you say to me can take me iyangikhipha already,
Mm.
iyangikhipha into character.
Mm.
And when it takes me out of my character, then that becomes a problem because I become rebellious. I don't
Yeah.
want to do what you want me to do. And it also dents the relationship. That means if you don't trust me, why must I continue doing what you want
Mm.
me to do? Because you don't
Yeah.
trust me anyway. So why
Yeah.
must I put more effort in doing something that will benefit you at the end of the day, but you don't trust me?
Yeah.
So it,
Yeah.
it, it, it goes back to the trust issue, that you need to have that mutual trust. You trust me, I trust you, because at the end of the day, we must all achieve the certain goal of the company or of the department. And if we don't do that, we are all affected.
In
And
the
if
end.
I'm affected at the end, and if I'm affected emotionally, or you just take me out of indlela ebengicabanga ngayo, it takes us, some of us, a very long time to come back to say, okay, he was angry, he was, or
Mm.
she was. It just takes you to say, ukushuthi akangiboni lo muntu. They
Mm.
don't see me. That means I don't add value. So why must I try where I don't add value? Why must
Mm.
I bring myself where I'm not wanted? That's where
Yeah.
you get absenteeism. I
Yeah.
rather stay at home than
Yeah.
come to work, because when I get to work, I don't get treated the way I should be. And at the end of the day, we need to remember, as managers and also as employers or people who want to enter either platforms, you respect a person, not a
Mm.
position.
Yeah. Mm. Remember the
Yeah.
person. Yeah, sure. It's been a very packed. I mean, there's so much that I'm walking away with. I'm so much that I'm walking away with, and now I want us to bring it to the end. Closing, concluding remarks. Well, thank you, Pindil. It's like I said, it's because I guess we are as human, we are as complex as they come. You know, we are as complex as they come. So there are so many complexities in the workplace. But I think in the end is that which you have said about bringing your truer self, authentic, being self-aware, that is important. Let me just read this comment here by Osheli, who says that I always remind my partner and kids, which don't do what you wouldn't want done to you. If angeke uyithande kuwe ungayenzi komunye umuntu. Some goes to managers, and the same goes to managers. So it starts emakhaya, and then of course I under add to say that I would pray. Then come in and talk to your boss, asking them how they wanted the task to be done. And again, it goes back to communication. Absolutely, absolutely. There's many things that can be done. When you are dealing with, and let's say impossible boss, for lack of a better situation, or an ugly a relationship with your boss. There's many things that can be done. One of them I've learned is a one-on-one. That some managers can be bullies, where in the presence of others they can go on and on and on like this. But if you go and sit with them one on one, I know this is difficult, especially when you are young, when you are inexperienced, when you are having challenges, when you just pray to God for strength and go there and close the office and just between the two of you and say what's in your heart. Because if you don't do that, I've seen it happen. Sometimes if you don't do that, then you will burst in a different setting and in the presence of other people. Now, while what you are saying there might be true, but it might come across as insubordinate because now you are shouting and screaming at your boss in the presence. So as difficult as it is to go and sit down with the boss, have pen and paper so you can minute this conversation. What would you have me do? Because I'm noticing that every single time I bring a task that you've asked me to do, you've got so many things to say. And first hear them, and then let them know how you feel about what they say and how they say it and how you would prefer it to be done. They may not change, but at least they know the following. They know how. They know they are clear in terms of how you feel about their behavior and what you would prefer. But as I said, sometimes in spite of all those efforts, it doesn't work. Then control what you can, and that is you. Control you. It might take a lot of self-talk. It might take a lot of prayer. It might take a lot of prep. There are seasons at the place of work that even as you drive to the office, you are doubling up on prayer because it's a difficult time. It's a challenging time. And when all else fails, my friend, consider moving. Change the environment. If you can't change the people there, if you can't change things from within, then rather change the environment. Try and look for a different one. But now we live in challenging times. Employment is not easy to find. In the past, it was.
Yes.
Okay, Thank you so much, Phindile. I'm going to give you an opportunity to then have your closing remarks. But two things before I let you do that. Number one, I love what you said, and I want to close with that. In fact, as far as my contribution to this conversation, and that is, you said that the beautiful things now for us as women is that the workplace and the marketplace is open. I love the example of the truck driver. I loved I probably would be as bad as a truck driver as I am as a driver. Um, but the marketplace, ladies, is open. We're living in challenging times, but the marketplace is open for us in all areas of the market, not just apples, but apples and oranges and bananas and every other aspect is open for us. The
Yes.
professional, the workplace is also open. You know, sometimes even as we apply for jobs, we only apply for these ones. Apply for those managerial positions. Imagine if God's daughters were leading in companies. You know, imagine the kind
Exactly.
of companies that
Mm,
we would be leading if we had the courage to go for those managerial positions, to go for those leadership positions, to go for those executive positions. They are open for us, and you and I are God's daughters, my friend, powered by the grace of God. We can do this. And I'm saying this to us who are mothers, all right? We are mothers raised by teachers, raised by nurses. We ourselves are nurses and teachers and maybe lawyers. But you know what? We were in a program yesterday, Emphasis Day. I'm going on and on now, must stop. And Professor Mabenge was presenting. He's a gyno-oncologist. He's a gynecologist, but deals with gynecological cancers. He says he's the only one around PE, and I think even in the Eastern Cape. We as women are shy to go to those careers. I thought to myself, okay, for us, I'm not going to go now and be a doctor, but I can tell my daughters. I can tell my daughters, you know what? Go into medicine, go into gynecology, go into this, go into engineering, go into
mhm,
accounting, go into technology. We need to tell the space, guys, is open. Easy? No, nothing comes easy. It's not gonna be
mhm.
easy. But we need to go there because our God is with us. Our God is with us and has empowered us to go to that. Okay, I'm gonna let Phindile have her closing remarks, but I just have an announcement with regards to the Theatre of Grace conference. And here it is. Yes, we've closed the link temporarily, all right? Because initially, what we did say, we said we're closing on the 4th. We allowed a little bit because the hotel gave us a certain number of beds and a conference room. So the number we're working with was 300 because our conference room we came across takes 300 and the place there is about 300 people. However, having been there this past week, we have seen the place. We now know that there's a bigger conference room. So towards the end of this week, we will open again, all right, for those people who did not get in and they still want to come in. So please continue to speak to us in the meantime because we've almost now got a bit of a waiting list of people that are after we posted the pictures of the lakes, more people wanted to come, and I want to serve as many of you as possible in October. So we do still have space, but we just need to just fix our stuff together now that we have a room that takes 500, and we want to see if we can put in more people there. All right, thank you so much. Oh yeah, Phindile, I
Yebo.
want to now hand over to you to have your concluding remarks. After that, you can then pray for us. But before you do so, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for your passion. It comes through. It comes through in your comments. It comes through in the manner in which, not only in which you speak, but in the manner in which you wrote. All right. I'm sitting here. I'm this lady that is for books. I'm like, I wonder if we cannot have a small little booklet because sometimes we say this and we forget them. But if it's in a book, you can always go back and get it again. But I want to thank God that you not only are using your expertise and your experience in the workplace, but you've come and brought it here because we are working women, my friend. We are working women. We are women who own businesses. We are interacting with other people, but we also want to remain authentic, true Christian women workers. I'm a boss, but I want to still be a Christian boss, but I want to deliver. I also want to succeed in the marketplace. So my Christianity mustn't make me weak, but it must make me even stronger. But we don't always know how to bring the two together. And I'm so
Yes.
grateful then for what you shared with us here. We think that if I'm a Christian, I must let everybody walk all over me because, well, I'm going to be praying for them all the time, and yet I'm here to make money. But, or we think that if I'm here to make money, prayer and Christianity out the door. So what you've done for us, though, is you've shown us that it is actually really possible for us to be ambassadors of God in the workplace as well as in the marketplace. Thank you so much. So I'm going to let you conclude now and then pray for us as well.
Okay. In my conclusion, I will say, whatever your hand findeth to do, do with your all might. God has given you everything, every resource you need to do it the way God wants you to do it. In conclusion, again, honor God with hard work. Honest in what you do. Do it with everything that you've got. Be honest and ethical. Give thanks by giving back. And keep praying. We cannot survive in the workplace, in the marketplace, anywhere without prayer. Ellen White says an hour without prayer, it's a danger. That's a ticking bomb. So as women, wherever we are, let's pray. Nothing but prayer, 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 prayer. And whatever you find or whatever you are given to do, give it your all. Give it your all. Nikeza konke, bathi khupha konke mntase, khipha, khupha. Give it your all and make sure ukuthi you are being honest, you are being ethical. And I will still remind you and ngigcizelele, like press it in your mind. Always be yourself. Don't try to impress, don't try to be someone else. Be yourself, because now you are going to rob the world of you. And unfortunately, when you rob the world, you will end up robbing yourself of being yourself, because you'll be concentrating of being someone else. So let us be proud of who we are. And in every into esiyenzayo, let us empower ourselves. Let us be ladies afundayo. Let us be ladies who are want information, go get information, look for information. If you've got information, share information and don't keep it to yourself. There are things that a lot of us know that even people don't know that we know those things. Not is mangala like everybody else. Oh, you know this. Oh, you know this. So be a resourceful woman. Let people who come around you know that, one, you are a woman of God and you are resourceful and you are true to yourself and your beliefs and what you believe in. So in everything that you do, prayerfully so, stand firm and know who you are and whose you are. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I love that. Know who you are at the end of the day and whose you are. Oh, it's been empowering. It really has been empowering. I feel empowered as a woman, just as a daughter of God. I feel empowered as a manager, leader. I feel empowered, but also as an employee, as a subordinate. I feel empowered because often we play all those roles. In another place you are leading, but in another place you are following somebody else's vision. Thank you, sis. May God bless you. May He really indeed bless the work of your hands. Because when you are blessed, we get to benefit. We are here now, beneficiaries of your resourcefulness, beneficiaries of the work that you happen to be doing somewhere else, but we are here benefiting. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much. Okay. And ladies, thank you for joining us. We'll meet again next Sunday. I think next Sunday's topic is authentically me, but we'll share a little bit more about that later. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us. Before I forget, we meet Wednesdays again. Every Wednesday we pause in the middle of the week and fast. Okay, so Wellness Wednesday continues. We start by having morning devotions at 4:30 a.m. Have a blessed week. Pindi, can you please pray for us?
Okay, can we close our eyes?
Thank you.
Baba sithandekayo, isenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu, siyabonga ke Nkosi ngakho konke ukuthi wasenzela kona. Ukuvuka Nkosi ekuseni kube yisibusiso kakhulu. In the middle of the night, Nkosi, umhlaba uye washeka. That reminded us, Nkosi, ukuthi we are not here for ukuhlala, we are not permanent residents, but we are waiting for that glorious morning, Nkosi, where you'll appear, Nkosi, in the skies and come and take us home. That has reminded us, Nkulunkulu, ukuthi one day amazulu azawuvuleka kuNkulunkulu bese wena-ke Nkosi uyaqhamuka. Let this be an reminder ukuthi Nkulunkulu kuko konke esikwenzayo masikwenze Nkosi ngokuthembeka nangokuzinikela kuwe. Abantwana bakho-ke Nkosi abalalele wherever nabalalele khona Nkosi banabo, whoever is going through a tough time Nkosi, be amandla kubo, banikeze amandla Nkosi ukuze bakwazi ukunqoba. Nathi-ke Nkosi iviki seliqalile Nkosi, konke esathi sibhekane nako Nkosi throughout this week, we ask that you give us strength, you give us wisdom, you give us Nkosi ukuthula ukuze kwazi Nkosi ukuliceda leli viki Nkulunkulu. Konke-ke Nkosi esikuzwile-ke Nkosi namhlanje sicela-ke Nkosi ukuhlalisa ey'nhliziyweni zethu makuthola umhlabathi Nkosi ovundileyo ukuze konke esikwenzayo Nkosi kube ukudumisa igama lakho. Whatever that we are going through Nkosi in our different places, may we remember that Nkosi wena ukhona and you care Lord for each and every one of us. Be with us and our families and our work esikwenzayo Nkosi, and bless us Nkosi, and bless us indeed. Like Jabez has said, Lord, enlarge our territories Nkulunkulu kuko konke esikwenzayo. Phinda-ke futhi ubo Nkulunkulu singiba abantwana bakho. Phakama-ke Nkosi empilweni zethu thina bese siyehla. Usenzele-ke Nkosi nangaphezu kokucela kwethu ngoJesu Kristu siyakhuleka. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much and have a blessed week, everybody.
Thank you.